What's up, everybody? Dalton here with GM Baptist Outreach. And just in case if you don't know who we are, we work with over 230 churches setting up what's called the Digital Tract Ministry to help churches better reach their communities and bring visitors in the doors. Now, in this video, we're going to do some training on different ways churches are using the Digital Tract software to minister to people in their church, but also better reach people in the community. And we're going to be trying to do these weekly. And this is really for those who are churches that are already working with us that are already utilizing the software platform. If you're not utilizing the software, in the description of this video, you'll find a link to where you can sign up for it, or you can sign up for a demo video to learn more about the Digital Tract Ministry. But with that being said, though, the training that we're going to do today is we're basically going to do a training on how kind of different ways churches can follow up with first-time visitors in a automated way, in a digital way, using your software and based on what we see across a lot of churches on what they're doing. So with that being said, though, I'm going to let Chase, I'm here with Chase. He's our operations manager for GM Baptist Outreach. I'm going to let him do the actual building out for this as we communicate through it. And we're going to kind of build it out live with y'all on this call. So with that being said, though, Chase, I'm going to let you take it and just kind of walk them through the different ways this can be set up, and then we'll kind of break down building it out.
Yeah, so it sounds good. So, as Dalton mentioned, so the use case is this. So we want whenever a visitor walks into the door before they walk out, if we don't have their information or any way to contact them, we want to figure out a way to be able to reach out to them in an automated way, still personalized. And so what we're thinking through this, and we kind of talked about this before, we can have a few different ways. We can have a just simply a paper form that someone fills out that we maybe go back and put into the system. We could have a digital form, or we could even have a way that they could text a certain keyword to a phone number. So imagine you have some screens or have a projector or something in your church, and at the end of the service, you can say, if you're visiting for the first time, text the word visitor to this number, and that could trigger an automation sequence. Dalton, anything to add as far as the use case there before we get started?
No, no, that sounds perfectly right. And because there's not a ton of ways to get visitor information apart from a physical form or a digital form. And then the text visitor is just a newer kind of streamlined way a lot of churches
Mhm.
have been doing it. And a lot of churches that we work with don't even know that's possible in the software. We've told people that, and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I'd love to do that." So we're going to show you all how to do that on this call or on this
Yeah.
training. But yeah, no, it sounded good.
To begin here, you're going to be inside of automations. You're going to hit create workflow and start from scratch. Every time you start a new workflow, best case is just go and rename it so you know what you're working on. So I like to name mine, for instance, trigger, just to know what the
Okay, real
trigger
quick, I just
is.
want to hop on here and tell you that GMAPS Outreach is who sponsors this video. And I want to give you a brief description of who we are. So we help churches reach their communities and bring visitors in the doors of their church every single week with what's called the Digital Tract Ministry. And we're working with churches all across the country. We have 170 plus churches we're serving in rural areas, populated areas, also in 5 different countries around the world. And so it's amazing what God's doing with the Digital Tract Ministry. And we would love to help your church set this up as well. And so if you're curious about it and you want to know more about it and what it looks like set up for a church, you can find a demo video in the description of this video. You'll find a link to sign up for a demo video that walks you through the exact process of the Digital Tract Ministry. It also walks you through the financial side of things of what it looks like set up for a church. And so with that being said, super glad you're here. Sign up for that. Make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's going to allow us to put out a lot more valuable content for churches to help them with outreach and discipleship. So go ahead and enjoy the rest of the video, and we will see you on the other
And
side.
it's going to be text visitor, and then that's done. So the way that an automation is built out, you have usually one or more triggers that can get you into the workflow, and then you have multiple actions that will initiate in a sequence of events after the trigger is started. And you'll see what that looks like here. So we want to add a new trigger. The trigger for this one is going to be customer replied. And then if we add a few filters, because we don't want it to be anytime a customer replied, we want it to be whenever they say something specific and specifically via text. So we're going to move it down here to say reply channel is SMS, and another filter to say we could either do contains phrase or exact phrase. We don't want to use contains phrase for this instance because if they were to use the word visitor in a text message, but they weren't necessarily saying that they are visitors. So like if you were to say, I would like to be a visitor or something of that instance, and they happen to text this number, that would also prompt them to go into this workflow. But you want it just to be just that specific word, visitor. So we're going to use the exact match phrase in this case. But we will give it a few different options. So we'll do visitor all lowercase and then press enter. We'll do capital visitor and press enter. And then we'll do all caps visitor. Well, there we go. And then you're going to save trigger. So if you look at that, what that's going to be is open this up and all three of these, doesn't matter if they text to your software number, visitor, lowercase, capitalize, or capital V, there each of those would trigger the rest of these steps in the automation that we're going to now create. So got that trigger saved. So Dalton, what are you thinking next? So what do we want to have happen after they take this action of texting visitor?
Yeah, so when you think about it, if they're in the church service and you want them to text the word visitor to that number, we want it first to notify, the pastor or the connections pastor or hospitality
Mhm.
team members or whoever's kind of over the visitor assimilation of trying to reach these visitors. If it's just the pastor in a lot of churches, that's perfectly fine. But you want someone to be notified whenever the person texts that number. That way, somebody in the church service did text that number. So I would do an internal notification first where it notifies.
Yep. So we're gonna do a send internal notification here, and we'll say we'll do this via the app. So this will come into the app, the Lead Connector app, and we'll call it, let's say, new visitor text. And so the thing is, we don't have the person's name yet, and we can walk through that in a second about what we would do if we had the person's name, and we would have that if they fill out a form. Because we're just getting a text to a number, we don't know who they are just yet, so we would need some additional follow-up to know who they are. But this is just an internal notification to tell them that you have a new visitor type. And
Yeah.
imagine if you have a connections pastor for instance, that whose main goal is to just reach out to new people and to help disciple people that have made decisions to follow Christ. If maybe we're going to notify them specifically, so we would click particular user and then go down and click who that user is and then save that action. So then we know that anytime someone texts the word visitor, a sequence of events will begin. And so far that the first step in that sequence is the connections pastor will be notified.
Yep. And then, the next message I would be thinking of kind of like you said, like, we don't have their name and stuff. We have their phone number, which is great. So we can
Mhm.
follow up with that phone number down the road in your software account. But the reality is we want to know who these people are, especially if you have multiple visitors in your church and you have a couple texts, you don't know whose number is who. And so now we want to get their information, their name, possibly even their email if
Mhm.
you want it, or any other questions you want to put on a form, you can put on there. Do you live in the county that your church is in? Are you looking for a home church? You could put on there anything like that. Just like you would on a normal physical visitor form, you can put it on the digital one. And you can create these forms in the software. There's a form builder and stuff in there. You can build really nice design forms. Now, we're not going to do that on this training, but if you are interested in that, you can drop a comment in the video saying that you would like to learn how to build nice lead generation kind of forms in your software, and we'll do another training on it. But let's just assume that we already have a form created.
Mhm.
And what we would do is we would now create a text message to go out that would go to the person who texts that word, and basically just a text message that just says, thanks, for being with us today at Eternal Life Baptist Church. We hope that you get a blessing from the service. If you could, can you fill out this short visitor form so we can have a record of your visit?
Yeah, sounds good. So what, if you didn't see that, we're going to hit the plus button here, just add the next action in this sequence. Uh, we already have in the recent actions send SMS, but if you didn't and you likely won't, you're going to do just type in SMS and you'll have the send SMS. And what you can see is you potentially could have some templates here where we could templatize this and just have a way to quick access some verbiage. But for this, we're going to just say, hey, we're so glad that you'd let us know that you're a visitor. Again, what Dalton was saying, just do it some type of greeting to let them know that we
Yeah.
acknowledge that they received this. And then at the bottom, you're going to put a link to that form so we can get some more information from them. So, hey, with a quick greeting, and then you're going to say, please fill out this form.
So we can have a record of your visit or something
Yeah.
like that.
And then you would obviously edit this to be specific. Like we wanted them to also know this is from the church. So, hey, this is such and such from, Eternal Life Baptist. Saw that you filled out let us know that you were a visitor. We would love to know, have some more information and follow up with you. Please fill out this form below. And then you would link the form below.
Yep. And so, yeah, very simple. You just say, hey, this is, Pastor Dalton with Eternal Life Baptist Church. Super glad you're in service with us today. I hope you get a blessing from the service. Please fill out this quick form so we can have a record of your visit. And yeah, and then you'll have the form linked. Now, they're going to get that text message. So there's no guarantee though that they'll fill out that form while they're at the service. They might be filled with the service and focused on the service, and so they might forget to fill out the form. So we want to have another message go to them at some point, just thanking them again for being in church and giving them that form one more time. And so I would say we can have a wait 24-hour step where it waits till the next day on Monday. So he's doing a wait step here. It's going to be wait 24 hours.
Yep. So if you didn't see that, we just added a plus button here.
And I might would name that just to be a
Yeah.
little bit more
Yeah,
detailed.
you're
Wait
right. So
24 hours.
add new action, and then the action is going to be called wait. When you open this up, we're going to call this wait 24 hours. And then you just set it specifically to the amount of time. So we can see we had wait 24 hours and save action. So basically, in the sequence of events to talk through it, someone's going to text the word visitor here. They're going to immediately get an internal notification has been sent to the connections pastor or someone internal. uh, Within seconds of that, they will also receive this text message. But then once it gets here, there's going to be a pause in the sequence of events, a 24-hour pause. So nothing is going to happen until the 24-hour wait step, and then it will continue and then from here we're going to have another SMS. So that add another SMS here, just a quick follow up. I can spell. If you haven't yet, fill the form out below. And then you
Yeah.
can link the form below here again.
Yeah, and
So
I might just for everybody listening, like I might would do like an introduction or like a thanking them again, like, hey, this is Pastor Dalton. Again, just wanted to let you know that we were super excited to have you in church yesterday. We hope you got a blessing from the service. I noticed you haven't filled out the visitor form yet. I just wanted to drop it again below and just encourage you to fill that out so we can have a record of your visit, and then you would just drop the form. You want to just like be very formal, very personal, thanking them for being there and just dropping that form in there again. But you're good,
yeah,
like you're good there.
yeah, 100%. So to what Dalton is getting at is 100%. You want to word this message as if you were texting it one-on-one to a person. Now, we are utilizing the systems that we have at our fingertips to be a little more automated with that, but you want to still take the time to think through what you would say had you been saying this and texting it right there in real time. And just want to be very intentional about making sure you're building that relationship and building that rapport with this person. So save action on that. So we have them receiving an internal notification, getting a text message initially, waiting 24 hours, and now we're going to send them a second text message. And we could even come through and name these initial SMS, and then let's call this Monday text because we know that if we're doing this on a Sunday, if they text this out the next day, would be here on a Monday. I would say let's do this, and we didn't do this before. I always like to add, and you can always go back and do this if you like. I want this to happen in the sequence of events prior. You can always go back. So here I'm going to do a plus button and do a tag. I want to add a contact tag of visitor because I want to be able to go through these contact lists. So you'll have a contact list obviously in your software for every person that is taking an action as far as filling out a form or replied visitor to the number. But I want them to get a contact tag of visitor so I can go back and maybe filter through those contacts later to know that they came in by texting the word visitor to us. So
Yep. And so now it adds the visitor tag. And real quick for anybody who's watching, if you're already using the GM Baptist Outreach software, now there is an automation already set up that when you add the visitor tag, it will trigger out automated text messages to go out. I just want to encourage y'all, if y'all build this out for your church, to make sure to turn that automation off. That way, when that visitor tag is added, it doesn't trigger that sequence. You see what I mean? And you could even
Mhm.
create a different tag for each
Yeah,
one. But if you're building this as a visitor follow-up portion, then that other visitor automation that you already have pre-built in the software can be removed. Just for everybody who's using the software, we do have some things already kind of built out, and that visitor tag is kind of the trigger. So just keep that in mind whenever you add the visitor tag in here. And Chase, maybe we can update that at some point, change it, where the snapshots that are created in everybody's account, the pre-built stuff we have for them might be changed or something.
sure.
You know, anyways,
Yeah.
but with that being said, though, so this to me is pretty. I don't think really. I mean, you could, and just so everybody knows, you can build this thing out to be even longer. Like if they don't
Mhm.
fill out the form, you can have it where it waits 7 days and it texts them, or waits a month and it texts. I mean, you can like build this thing out, the sequence out longer. But for me, this would be enough. So whenever you want to publish this, wherever you want to use this, you need to make sure that thing is not in draft though. At that top right corner, you switch that to publish and then click save. And that saves everything we just made, everything we just built. And so now this automation is good to go. Whenever you text the word visitor, it'll automatically do all of these events. And you can come in here and test it. You can get your software number, text it from your personal phone visitor, and it will trigger it all and you can watch it all happen live.
Yep.
So now with that being said though, so we've got it to where the system, when they text the word visitor, it sends them that visitor forward trying to get that information through a digital form. But now we want to build out a separate automation, something completely different, that will trigger from that form, that whenever that form is actually submitted, it will then trigger another sequence of events to take place after they submit that form. Because if they submit that form the day of, like that Sunday morning, we might want a different automation. We want a different message to go out Monday or something that doesn't have that form involved. So now we'll build out that second automation, which is basically visitor form triggered.
Yep. So start in the same place, go to create workflow, start from scratch. We'll name it as a best practice. We'll call it the trigger is visitor form, just so we know that this is coming in from there. And you're going to come over here to new trigger. You're going to search for form. And if you notice, if you use it a lot, you'll have it in your recent triggers again. But form submitted. And by the way, this would be a topic for a different time, but you can have all these other forms. You can have a Facebook lead form. If you use the software, you know that we trigger off of a Facebook lead form being submitted or a TikTok lead form being submitted or even a LinkedIn lead form. But for this, we're using a form submitted, which means we're utilizing a form that is internal to the software. And we're going to add a few filters like as far as the form is, we'll just use the contact form for now. So you would pick the specific form that you have set aside and you've created for the visitor communication. So a contact there and then save trigger. So now anytime that specific form is filled out, that will now trigger a sequence of events. For the right here from the start, I think the first thing I want to do is I want them to be removed from that previous workflow. So imagine if they text visitor to that number on Sunday, they get the text message that offers them, the incentive of being able to fill that form out. If they do fill that form out, I don't want them to get that text message that we had to go out on Monday that says, "Hey, please fill the form out," because they already have. So we're
Yeah.
going to do remove, and it's going to be removed from workflow. And then what workflow? We're going to say another workflow, and then we're going to change this to the text visitor workflow. So if you see that, it's going to be just the first thing we do is remove them from a workflow, another workflow, and then the text visitor and save action. So what that does is immediately removes them from that other workflow, and now we can say something different to them on Monday because they have filled out a form versus them getting that other text message.
Yeah. For sure. And I think after this, like if we're going to remove them from that workflow, I think we should have another text that goes out now. Well, actually, first, let's do another internal notification where it'll notify us again that
Yep.
somebody has submitted a actual visitor form. Therefore, you'll get notified when they text that number. But now, when they actually submit the form, you'll also get another notification with the visitor's information to your phone. So I
Yeah.
would just type in visitor form submitted, or something like that.
And since we have their information now, so what we could do is call it a new visitor form, but we can also pull in their specific details. So we can go here to the custom values tag, go to contact, and then full name. And then up under that, if we also want to get their, let's say we have their phone number and their email. And maybe we even have, if on the form, if you had something on the form as far as a specific message, like you ask them to, if you have any specific questions about the church, or you have a free text box that they could go in there and fill out. You could even have some custom values. Imagine like a message button. So if you would want to map that directly to the whatever you had on the form. But the point is, whenever that notification comes through, the connections pastor or whoever receives this internal notification does not have to go and search for that details. It's going to be right there on the notification, who the person is, their name, phone number, and anything they typed out on that form, all right here in one place. And then we
Yeah.
would say we want to go back to the contact page, and then we're going to do it to a particular user. Again, you can have this go out to all the users in your software, or we can have it go to a specific person if you have someone specific over this process, and then save action there.
Yep. And so perfect. So now it'll notify you when the form's submitted. And then I would say send out another confirmation text message to them,
Mm.
immediately after to where they get a message now just confirming, just basically, yeah, just a text message that basically just says, hey, and then grab their first name to where we personalize this next text. Grab the
Yep.
custom value. And this is pretty awesome, everybody that doesn't know you can do this, but you can actually grab the first name of that contact, put it in the text to where it looks like a personalized message. But yeah, hey, John, thanks for filling out our visitor form. Again, great to have you in church today. If you have any questions about the church, you can text me here.
Yep. 100%. So you go as detailed as you want to there. um, Anything you have a custom value for. So anything that you get information from as far as on a form, you can recall that back into a text message. So what you see here is the contact first name. So for me, it would say, "Hey Chase." For Dalton, it would say, "Hey Dalton." And this is Pastor Dalton with Eternal Life Baptist Church. And then just continue on with a greeting, whatever you want to say to them in an automated way. Again, to still keep that personalized.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. And so, and I would definitely encourage to try and prompt a response with them, like they haven't, and this is just, just encouraging pastors like different stuff. They can text you back right there from the software and y'all can have a text message communication. It's not like just a one-way messaging. So
mhm.
like I would, text them like, thank you for being there and ask them, be like, if you have any questions about the church, you can text me here. I'd love to answer them or, anything of that nature. So they'll get that confirmation message there on Sunday. And then since it removed them from that other workflow, that one where it would text them Monday, I would do another wait 24 hours and text them on Monday again with this one since it's removing them from that other one. And this will just be like a wait 24 hours and basically just text them on Monday, just saying, hey, this is hey John, this is Pastor Dalton. Just wanted to thank you again for being in church yesterday, and I hope you got a blessing from the service. If you ever need anything from me, please let me know. You know,
Yep. So just to recap, let's see, we'll do "Hey." Contact first name again. So what we did is we added a wait step after that first text message. I named that wait step wait 24 hours. What that looks like is hitting the plus button, typing in wait, and then it's going to pull you up the details. This is where I renamed it, and then you add the specific amount of time there. So that's our wait step. And then we added another SMS step. And this SMS step is going to just say, "Hey, contact first name," or whatever you wanted to say. This is going to be a Monday follow-up or really 24 hours after they fill out that form. Technically, they could have filled out the form on Monday, so they would actually get this text message on Tuesday, right? So 24 hours after they fill out the form, just as another touch point.
yep, for sure. Yeah, and so and to me, that's really about it. I mean, honestly, some pastors might have different processes, like just to give people some ideas. If you did in-person visits, if you wanted to visit them like on Thursday or Friday later that week, or if you have somebody that calls first-time visitors, just calling them, checking in, seeing how they enjoyed the church, if they had any questions or any feedback on their experience at the church, you'd love to hear it. If you have someone who does that, which can all be good stuff, you can have this thing where it waits 3 days or where it waits till Thursday and it sends out an internal notification just notifying y'all, reminding y'all to go give them a phone call or reminding a specific person in your church to give them a phone call. So those are all just different ideas that you can do with following up with these visitors. And again, like the sky's the limit. There's lots of different stuff you can do. And if anybody has any questions on any of this, drop them in the comments of this video. We'd love to answer them. But also, like if you have any other ideas that you would like to know that could be built out using the software, doing automated texting, emailing, anything like that for different ministries in your church, drop them in the comment and ask, we'll do trainings on anything y'all want us to do. So, but other than that, I think that's really all I would probably set up. What about you, Chase? Any other ideas?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, like Dalton said, it's sky's the limit. You can continue the sequence as far as you want to. I think I would probably, at a minimum, have another internal notification. We don't have to belabor it because we know how to do that now, but add another internal notification to, again, to the connections pastor or someone that can be assigned to reaching out to these people in a very rapport building type way. I mean, right now everything we've done is very automated, but the goal is to these for these people to feel and know that they truly are cared about by the local church. So to as an internal notification to prompt someone to go and call them personally or reach out to them in some way. And then, as always, just make sure once you have this built out, however long the sequence is, you want to make sure you come over here and hit publish and then save to always make sure. So now this trigger is up and going. So if we were to fill out this Facebook lead or rather this lead form inside of our software, which by the way, you can also create QR codes for, and you can have them on a screen that someone could just scan. Either way, however they end up coming into this workflow, all these sequence of events will begin.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's good stuff. I've enjoyed it. I think that was very valuable. What we'll do for everybody watching to know that we're going to be trying to do these trainings a lot more often. So make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified and everything when we do them. But other than that, I think that's it for this one. Y'all go build this out. If y'all have any questions on us, shoot us a message. And also, here in a second, we're going to have a video pop up on the screen that is another training video we did on text the word Jesus for those who, have received Christ as their Savior. If they text the word Jesus, it'll trigger discipleship course automation videos and stuff. And I'll drop that training on the screen here in a minute where you can click on that and watch that if you're interested in that as well. But other than that, hope y'all have a blessed rest of your day.
Yep.